Welcome to Lumbridge United's best OSRS free-to-play end game tips. In this video, I'm going to bring you 10 tips designed to get the most out of the free-to-play end game content of OSRS. Things like bosses, castle wars, items, skills, and more. So if you're looking for something new to do or simply some targets to aim for, then this is the video for you. So if you've arrived at this video, you've probably hit around level 50, as in combat level 50. You've probably done most of the quests, and you're now wondering, what do I do? Do I go membership? Is there anything else in the game? Where can I go from here? Well, fear not. This guide aims to give you some targets or give you some things to try that maybe you haven't tried before, maybe you weren't aware of, or maybe you were just too afraid to try. Hopefully, when you've watched this video, you will know exactly what you want to do next. So let's get straight down to business. Skills are the fundamental mechanics of RuneScape, and therefore it seems only natural that we start there. If you check your total level in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you probably want to be aiming for between 500 and 750, as this opens up the higher skill level worlds, which means that you have access to worlds with a low population and less people will be able to access it, so less noobs getting in your way and more space for you to do your thing. You don't have to do this, but this works out at around an average level of 50. If you're average level 50 across your whole skill chart and all of the free-to-play skills, then that is a very good place to be in terms of you're not going to get much more out of free-to-play and you can pretty much do everything available. There are some tweaks, so some recommendations I would make. First up, 60 range will be useful, so that I'm going to pop a little link up on the screen and in the description. You can use my Hardcore Ironman money making guide and farm the ogresses. I reckon anyone should farm the ogresses, but range is by far the cheapest and easiest way to do this, and the higher your range, obviously, the more damage you're going to do. 55 magic goes hand in hand with that. High alchemy is just extremely useful for making money. Any account would benefit from this. It's a bit of a grind to get to 55, but Hardcore Ironmen or Ironman particularly benefit the most. Then we're moving on. 50 fishing. Food equals healing, so the best food source is beneficial for both PvP and PvM, so you need to be able to fish swordfish. You can buy them if you're low level from the Grand Exchange. Obviously, Ironmen can't do that, so you need to actually be able to fish it yourself. Next, base 50 melee. If you're going to tank anything like we are the bosses later, you need to be base 50 in order to have a good chance of not dying a painful death against the bosses. Next up, 50 crafting. Again, this one is optional. It's mainly for hardcore Ironmen because they can't buy jewelry, i.e. the Amulet of Strength, from the Grand Exchange. You could go crazy and try and get 70 and get an Amulet of Power. I can't really be bothered training crafting to 70 in free to play, so I'm probably not going to do that. But I recommend 50 so you can get that Amulet of Strength. Again, it just makes the melee tanking much easier. Next up, prayer. I recommend 43 prayer. You just need that defend from melee, defend from magic, defend from range, triple threat. They're the prayers that do the business in free-to-play. They're useful for PK and they're useful for PvM. Yes, it's a grind. Yes, it's painful. Maybe the new Camdozel dungeon, I'm putting a thing up on the screen there, will allow you to grind the prayer out in a bit more of an AFK quicker way. If your plan is to stay in the free-to-play world indefinitely, then smithing and runecrafting are a bit of a waste of time, so I'd probably leave them. Equally, if you try and keep your cooking level in line with your fishing level, this will just ensure that you can cook the fish that you catch. And finally, on skills, you might want to add accessing the free-to-play guilds as a bit of an objective. You'll need 32 quest points to access the Champions Guild, 32 cooking to access the Cooking Guild, 50 crafting to access the Crafting Guild, and 60 mining to access the Mining Guild. So as you can see, there's my targets for the free-to-play endgame. As I say, these are aimed at characters who are purely staying in the free-to-play world. Whew, that was a long point. On to number 2, build the Skull Sceptre from the Stronghold of Security. The staff itself just offers a nice convenient teleport to Barbarian Village, and it's just a useful item to have to make travel easier. Very similar to the Chronicle that I mentioned in my previous video. I'm going to assume that you've completed the Stronghold of Security by now, so therefore you need to just go in and grind out the particular enemy on each level that drops part of the scepter. Once you've got all 4 bits, you can assemble it by speaking to the ghost guy at the end. I covered how to do this in one of my Hardcore Ironman videos, so I'll drop a link up on the screen now. If you want to see which enemies, how to farm them, and how to do the staff as well as imbue it, please see the link. So yeah, watch that video. If you haven't already completed the Stronghold of Security and got yourself the fancy boots or the fighting boots, I'll put a guide to my 10 things to do for beginners on the screen now, so I definitely recommend giving that video a watch as well and going through those points first. Third, If you haven't already, this again links into the other more advanced steps. Complete Dragon Slayer. It's still my personal favourite quest in RuneScape ever. That's probably childhood nostalgia because, you know, I played this game all the way back in like 2006, I think, when it was like RuneScape Classic, and I just love Dragon Slayer. But it also gives you the ability to wear Rune Body and Green Dragon Body, which in free-to-play are obviously the best range and melee items, so you may as well get it over with. And it's quite fun, and it's a cool quest. It's the best quest in free-to-play by a mile, so just get on with it, enjoy it, and get it done. There's also a really cool cutscene at the end when you cut off the dragon's head, which on its own is probably worth doing the quest for. Number 4, getting best in slot items for each method of attack. So I'm talking about getting full rune, full green dragon hide, and the best magic items in slot. I'll put these up on the screen in sequence now. I'm not going to say how you get exactly every single one of them, but I'm going to go through each setup on the screen there of what are the best in slot items. Obviously, there are limitations on hardcore Ironmen. For instance, the rune scimitar, full rune, amulet of power or amulet of strength, the fighty boots, and a cape with the green dragon vams. That's the best melee setup, for example. You won't be able to get the amulet of power and the rune scimitar as an Iron Man because it'll be quite difficult. You need to smith that yourself, which requires something stupid like 99 smithing. So it's not really practical. You're not going to get that. But you can actually get a rune kite by farming Obor, which we'll cover conveniently in the next point. Please like the video and support my content. Thank you, noble knight. Step 5. So the high melee skill targets in step 1 are really building up to these next couple of points in steps 5 and 6. So what you need to do is get the brass key from the Edgeville dungeon and then farm hill giants for giant keys. Once you have enough, I recommend getting at least 2 or 3 to make it worthwhile. You can then initiate the instance and fight the hill giant boss, Obor. Obor is a level 106, and as far as free to play is concerned, he is a bit of a beast, at least as far as melee and range are concerned. He's not to be trifled with. You really need base combat 50 before going near this guy. I am going to release some separate guides to both Obor and Bryophyta, as there's a few hints and tips that I can bring you. This is kind of just an overview. If you really want into details and brass tacks, please see the separate guides, which again I'll link up once they are released. So I've kind of given away the next one. Point 6 is to fight Bryophyta. So you go through the Varrock Sewers dungeon right to the end, find the moss giants, and then farm moss giants until you get mossy keys. Once you have several mossy keys, you only need one, by the way, to start the instance, but I recommend getting several at once so you can kind of do instances one after the other. You can then locate the gate and fight Bryophyta. In my opinion, Bryophyta is actually the harder battle. Obor is actually quite easy. If you can get him to like pin you against a wall, then his knockback attack doesn't really do much. If you activate defense from range, he then doesn't really use range attacks. And yes, he can hit quite high, but I did it with base 60 stats, and I'm not afraid to challenge him. Bryophyta, even with 43 prayer boosted to 45 using the monastery, I still bailed out on that. I've teleported out from that fight a couple of times because I ran out of prayer and she still had 2 or 3 hits left and I only had about 1 or 2 hits left, so I bailed out. So Bryophyta for me is actually, I thought would be the easier one, and looking at the guide on OSRS Wiki, I thought that would be the easier fight, but I actually think Obor's easier. Leave a comment, disagree with me. I don't know if you've got special tactics for them. Again, leave a comment, that'd be useful and helpful to other players in the community. But yeah, you need to try and fight those 2 bosses. I think they do have some really good drops. Obor particularly has the better drops. Hardcore Ironmen, you're particularly interested in the rune kite shield, but both of them drop a nice array of rune items. And again, Obor has the better drop of a hill giant club, which I believe is the strongest two-handed weapon in the free-to-play game. So if you're going to do any PvP or you just want to hit hard, the hill giant club is very useful. Moving on, number 7, do some Castle Wars. Castle Wars is always really fun. It's kind of maybe lost its gloss a bit since there's loads of other mini games out, but it's still definitely worthwhile, and it does give you a taste of what the members side of the game's kind of like in terms of, you know, fighting in a safe environment, doing different tasks. It's a totally different form of the game. You don't really get anything else like this in free to play, so it's definitely worth trying out. You can also score some cool cosmetic armor just for the kudos. Number 8, PvP. Fighting in the wilderness, I will totally hold my hands up and say that I'm a complete noob. It doesn't matter how good my equipment is, how good my tactics are, I still seem to lose 99% of the time here. So I'm not a massive PvPer, but I am potentially going to look up doing a PvP series, so maybe I'll get better in the future, but it's definitely something worthwhile trying. Just give it a go, you never know, you might like it. Moving on, number 9. Kinda links into the point I just made there, but join a clan. The more social you can make the game, the better it's going to be. There's some really good clans out there. Surprisingly, actually, I've struck up several conversations just from being a hardcore Ironman when people have asked me about how I got an Addy kite shield, which I got from the Ruins of Camdozel vault run. Apparently it was a 1 in 800 drop, so I got really lucky to get an adamant kite. That on its own has started several conversations with other hardcore Ironmen, and it's just actually really friendly despite the trolls you might get somewhere else. Most people are really cool. Strike up a conversation, get into a clan, and all the activities in RuneScape, especially if you go members, being in a clan is probably even more important, but get that social element. That will really help take the edge off the grind, because let's be honest, the game does have a fair few grindy elements, but at least it gives you something social to do while you train. And the last point, so building up to the last one, earn 4 million and buy a bond. Now at the end of my last video I said just go members for like $4.99, the cost of a pint. You could just pay it and go members, and someone criticized that, saying like, oh yeah, it's a free-to-play guide and you've just said buy membership. So in no way am I saying you have to buy membership, but I'm saying if you've kind of done all these points, the game can become very repetitive once you've kind of got to this point. And that is the point where my character actually stands as we speak. I am now at the point where I've killed Obor 5 times. I've killed Bryophyta 5 times. Kind of got all the best in slot items, bar the rune kite shield and the hill giant club. And it's literally, do I sit in the hill giant cave and just kill hill giants to get the keys until I get the drops I want from Obor? Or do I look to earn money and move on? In my case, I will probably be paying for the content so that I can go and bring some members content to the channel. But if you do not want to part with your hard-earned money, which I can totally understand, 4 million coins is not an outlandish sum of money, and you can buy a bond over the Grand Exchange. But in general, if you've achieved all this, if your average level's over 750, if you've done Dragon Slayer, you've got the best in slot items, you've got the best Obor drops, you've killed Bryophyta, you've got the Skull Sceptre, you've done some Castle Wars, you've done some PvP, you've got a good clan, I think it's a natural progression at that point that you're going to go forward and look to buy bonds. Each bond gets you 16 days of membership, and what you can do in 16 days of membership is quite a lot, and then you can always come back to free to play when your bond runs out, or upgrade at that point. I am not telling you to buy membership. I'm just saying 4 million coins is a target to aim for, and maybe buy that bond and give it a try when you've got that week off or you've got that time to spare. Equally, I've done a video specifically aimed at hardcore Ironmen on how to make money, so I'll pop that up on the screen in the description too, and boom, and that is the end of the video. Hopefully this video will give you some targets and some things to try in the free-to-play endgame that will keep you entertained. If I've missed anything, or you've got some really cool hints and tips of your own, please share them in the comments, and I'll certainly look to include these in future videos. If you've enjoyed this video and it has been at all helpful, please like, subscribe and leave a comment. I, the Lumbridge Knight, am at your service. So until the next time, fare thee well, brave adventurer.